Welcome back, class 7th. So today is Wednesday and we have started chapter 2 from your NCERT book. We have done the first 3 exercises which were based on addition of fractions, subtraction of fractions, comparison. Comparison means in which you have to compare either two fractions or you have to compare more than two fractions. That would mean you have to arrange a given number of fractions in ascending or descending order, and we have done problem sums based on that. Now we are going to start with the next topic, which is division of fractions. So for division of fractions, first of all, what we want to do is we want to write down a definition. So write down the definition for multiplicative, inverse or reciprocal of a fraction. Now this is something that you will need to calculate or divide two fractions. So we should be aware, I'll be using this term many times while solving the questions, and for multiplicative inverse I'll be using MI, capital MI, as an acronym. So multiplicative inverse of a fraction or reciprocal of a fraction means if the numerator and denominator of a fraction are interchanged. What does this mean? So this means if I have a fraction and I change the place of numerator and denominator, the numerator becomes the denominator becomes the numerator. You could imagine a fraction being upside down. So in that case, then the new fraction is called multiplicative inverse or reciprocal of that fraction. So I'll give you an example for the same. So consider if you have a fraction 7 by 9. So it's reciprocal or multiplicative inverse will be, let's interchange the places. 7 is in the numerator, 9 is in the denominator. Interchange their places. So 9 comes on top and 7 goes under. So 9 by 7 is the reciprocal of 7 by 9. Now if you observe, there is something special about the multiplicative inverse, and what's that? The product means when you multiply. So product of a fraction and its multiplicative inverse. So if you have this fraction, its multiplicative inverse is this. If you find their product, means if you multiply these two, is always 1. Their answer will be 1. Take an example. 7 by 9 is the fraction and its inverse, multiplicative inverse, let's change their places. This becomes 9 by 7. Now you can simplify this. 9 and 9 get cancelled, they give you 1. 7 and 7 get cancelled, this is also left with 1. So the answer comes out to be 1. So this was the fraction and this is the multiplicative inverse. This is something that could be asked in multiple choice questions or 1 mark questions, and this is something which we will use while carrying out the division of fractions. Now once you have noted it down, then we will begin with the exercise. We are doing exercise 2.4. Exercise 2.4. It's on page number 46 of your textbook. Now, before we do the first question, we will be doing question number 2. You can write question number 1 is after question number 2. Now, let's take a look at what question number 2 is. So, this is what the question is. You have to find the reciprocal. Now, you're familiar what a reciprocal is, how to find it. Find the reciprocal of each of the following fractions. Classify the reciprocals as proper fractions, improper fractions, and whole numbers. So you've been given some fractions. The first thing you will do is you will find their reciprocal, and then you will tell what kind of answer did you get. The reciprocal that you obtained, is it a proper fraction? Is it an improper fraction? Or is it a whole number? So let us do a few parts. So I'm doing first of all part 1. First part, the fraction is 3 by 7. So the first part is 3 by 7. So its reciprocal is 7 by 3. I've changed the place. 3 was on top, I have sent it under. 7 was below, so I have brought it on the top. So this is the fraction that I obtained. This is the reciprocal. Now you have to tell what kind of fraction this is. So this is an improper fraction. Why? Because the numerator is bigger than the denominator. It is an improper fraction. Let's do another part. Part 5. Now in fifth part, the fraction that I have is 12 by 7. Again, find the reciprocal. Interchange the places. 7 comes on top, 12 goes below. Now this is a proper fraction. So write down it is a proper fraction. Let's do one more part. The next part that we are doing is 7th part. 7th part, the fraction is 1 over 11. Let's find the reciprocal. Its reciprocal, 11 on top, 1 below. Now 11 over 1 means, now this 1 can be ignored. So this is 11. It's no more a fraction now. So this is a whole number. This is how you will do the remaining parts. The remaining parts are 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 6th. That will be your homework. If you want, you can do these parts now before you proceed with the next part of the video, or you can do the homework after the classwork. Now we know how to find out the reciprocal. Now using the reciprocal, with the help of the reciprocal, we will learn how to carry out the division of fractions. So now we are doing question number 1. Question number 1 of the same exercise. Let's do the first part. Question number 1. Let us see what the question is. It's a simple question. It says find. The first part is 12 divided by 3 by 4. Now if you look at these fractions or the divisions, you will see that you have a whole number divided by a fraction in all the parts. The first number is a whole number and the second part is a fraction. So we will be learning how to divide a whole number with a fraction. And then we proceed to the question number 3. Question number 3 is the opposite. We have fraction, then we have a whole number. It's like they have changed the places. And then finally we have to divide two fractions. But the method is same. The steps will be exactly the same that we use in these 3 questions. So question number 1, 3rd and 4th. So these 3 questions are all same. So let's do the first part. We have 12 divided by 3 by 4. So I'll be writing down the steps for the first part, then I'll just quickly solve my answers in the remaining parts. So first step is, there are 2 numbers to be divided. We will be writing down the reciprocal for the second one. So we need the reciprocal of second fraction. So this can be written as 12 over 1 divided by 3 over 4. Because 12 was a whole number, I have written it as a fraction. The second place is already a fraction. I want to obtain the reciprocal of the fraction at the second place, the one which is after the division sign. So this one. So I need the reciprocal for 3 by 4. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to write down its reciprocal. So that means reciprocal. Reciprocal is a very large word. I'll be using MI, capital MI. So reciprocal of 3 by 4 is 4 by 3. Now what happens is the first fraction remains same, no change. For yourself, you can note that there is no change in the first fraction. Never. The second fraction is replaced by its multiplicative inverse. So 3 by 4 will become 4 by 3, and when we do this at the same step, when we change this fraction, we change the sign into multiplication. So there are two things happening at the same time. The sign of division is changed into multiplication, and the fraction which is after the sign of division is inverted. You will be writing its reciprocal. So you do these two steps together. So step 2 is to use this, the reciprocal, use the MI, the reciprocal, and change this sign into multiplication. Change divide to multiply, and we know how to carry out the multiplication. We did a whole exercise based on this. So let's carry out the multiplication now. You can cancel right here, or you can multiply first and then reduce your answer. So I'm going to cancel here. Don't cancel 4 and 12. They are to be multiplied. I'll be cancelling 3 and 12. So let's cancel. 3 ones are 3, 3 fours are 12. For multiplying the numbers in the numerator and multiplying the numbers in the denominator. So I get 16 over 1. This is 16. So step 3 is to solve the multiplication. I hope you remember what were the steps of simplification of a product. When you multiply two fractions, you have to simplify, give the answer in the lowest terms, and in case it's an improper fraction, you have to change it to a mixed number. Let us do one more part. I am taking fifth part now. So the parts which I'm not doing in between are your homework. So fifth part we have 3 divided by 2 and 1 by 3. Now this is a whole number and this is a mixed fraction. So the first thing I want to do is I will write 3 as a fraction, change this mixed number into an improper fraction. So this becomes 3 over 1 divided by, change this fraction into an improper fraction. 3 into 2 is 6 plus 1 is 7 by 3. I have not started with division yet. I have not started with these 3 steps yet. I have only simplified my given fractions. So 3 written as 3 by 1, 2 and 1 by 3, a mixed number written as an improper fraction. Now I start doing my work. So the first step is obtain the reciprocal of the second fraction. So I need the reciprocal of this, and I'll be using it in the next step. So the reciprocal for this, if you want, you can write it on a side. Its reciprocal is 3 by 7, and this will be used here. You can do this mentally also, like in your mind you can do this and just write it here. So 7 by 3 becomes 3 by 7, and at the same time this division sign changes into multiplication. There is no change to the first fraction. Once again, what I did was, first of all I have written 3 as 3 by 1. I have written this mixed number as an improper fraction. Now the next step has two things happening at the same time. The sign of division changes to multiplication, and we write the multiplicative inverse for this. So 7 by 3 inverts becomes 3 by 7, and there is no change here in the first fraction. Now we just simplify. observe if there is any cutting possible. If there is any cutting possible, you can cancel, or you can, after that, you can just give your answer. So in this case, there is no cutting possible. We get 9 in the numerator, 3 into 3 in the denominator, we get 7. Now this is an improper fraction. I'll be changing it into a mixed number. So 7 ones are 7, the remainder is 2. So the mixed number will be 1 and 2 by 7. The denominator is same. Let's do one more part. The next part that I am doing from question number 1 is 6th part. We have 5 divided by 3, 4 by 7. So the first thing I want to do is I want to simplify the question before I do the division work. So 5 is not a fraction. Let's write it as a fraction. 5 by 1. Let's simplify this mixed fraction. 7 into 3 is 21 plus 4 is 25 by 7. I have not done anything yet. I have only written 5 as 5 by 1, and this mixed number has been changed into an improper fraction. Now the work begins. So once I have a fraction and a fraction, 5 by 1, the first fraction, no change. Now I'll be doing two things now. I'll change this sign and I will write the reciprocal. So divide, change to multiply. This will become 7 by 25. See if there is any simplification possible because we have multiplication. Remember, you cannot cancel this way in division. The cutting can only be done in multiplication. So let's cancel. 5 ones are 5, 5 fives are 25. What do we get? Multiplying the numerators, I get 7. Multiplying the denominators, I get 5. Improper fraction. Divide, obtain the quotient and the remainder. Write the answer as a mixed number, quotient on the side, remainder on the top, and the denominator is same. So this is the answer for the 6th part. The remaining parts are your homework. If you want, you can pause the video, complete your homework, and then do the rest of the work afterwards, or you can just complete your classwork for now and then do the homework later on. So the parts which are left are 2nd, 3rd and 4th. You will be doing yourself. Either you can do now or you can do later. Now after this we are going on to question number 3. Question number 3 of the same exercise. Now question number 3 is exactly like question number 1. There is only one change. In this question we had a whole number. In this question we had a whole number divided by a fraction. First there was a whole number, then there was a fraction. In third question they have done the opposite. The fraction is at the first place and the whole number is at the second place. Let's take a look at the question. So this is question number 3. Find 7 by 3 divided by 2. As I told you, they have just changed the places. First we have fraction, then we have a whole number. Let's do a few parts from this question. Question number 3. First part, we have 7 by 3 divided by 2. If you want, you can compare. The first thing I want to do is I have 7 by 3. I'm not changing this. Let's write this as a fraction because I'm working with fractions. I want to see the fractions. This is not a fraction yet. Make it a fraction. So now I have fractions. Now I will do the division work. So for the division work, what I'm supposed to do is I'm supposed to do two things at the same time. I have to change the sign of division to multiply and write the reciprocal for the second fraction, whereas there is a no change to the first fraction. So divide, change to multiply. 2 by 1 becomes 1 by 2. Now just solve. If there is any cutting possible, no cutting possible. Let's obtain our answer. Multiplying the numerators, I get 7. From the denominator, I get 6. Again, an improper fraction. Let's divide and obtain a mixed number. Obtain the quotient and the remainder. The quotient on the side, remainder 1 on top, and the denominator remains same. Let's do a couple of parts more. Question 3, 5th part. We have 3 and 1 by 2 divided by 4. Now the first thing I want to see is I want to see fraction divided by a fraction. This is a mixed number. I want a fraction here. Let's solve this. This is a whole number. I want to see a fraction here as well. So first of all, I will deal with that. Let's change this mixed number into a fraction. This becomes 7 by 2 and 4 becomes 4 by 1. Now I have two fractions. I can now start my division work. For the division work, I'm supposed to do two things at the same time. First fraction, no change. The two things that I want to do is I want to change the sign of division to multiplication. This fraction, write its inverse. Now solve. No cutting possible. In the numerators, 7 into 1 becomes 7. In the denominator, 2 into 4 give you 8. Now this is a proper fraction. No simplification. This is your answer. Let's do one more part. Let us do sixth part. We have 4 and 3 by 7 divided by 7. Let's change this mixed fraction into an improper fraction. 7 4s are 28 plus 3 31 by 7 divided by, this can be written as 7 over 1. Now I'll do two things at the same time. Change division to multiplication and write the reciprocal for this. So 31 by 7 multiplied by 1 by 7. No cutting possible. Give your answer 31 by 49. So the remaining parts you will do yourself. Part second, third and fourth from question number 3. Now let us do the last question of this exercise. Let's take a look at the question. So we have again find. Again we have division, but this time we have fraction divided by a fraction. We already have fraction, so let's do this question as well. So we are doing fourth question now. Question number 4th from the same exercise, exercise 2.4. First part, we have 2 by 5 divided by 1 by 2. You know what you have to do. You have a fraction and a fraction. So for this, you will write down multiplicative inverse. This is 2 by 1 and we will be using it here. And when you write the multiplicative inverse at the same time, this division sign changes to multiplication, but there is no change in the first fraction. Simplify your multiplication. So this is 4 by 5 as your answer. This is a proper fraction. No cutting is possible. So final answer is 4 by 5. Let's do fourth part. 2 and 1 by 3, a mixed fraction, divided by 3 by 5. So let's first simplify this. 3 into 2 is 6 plus 1, 7 by 3 divided by 3 by 5. Now for this, I'll be writing down the multiplicative inverse, which is 5 by 3. Use it here. And when I use the multiplicative inverse, the sign of division will change to multiplication. The first fraction is unchanged. See if there is any cutting possible. No. So multiply your numerators and denominators. Give the answer. From the numerators I get 35. From the denominators I get 9. And this is an improper fraction. I have to divide and obtain a mixed number. So 9 3s are 27. The remainder is 8. Mixed number will be quotient on the side, remainder on the top, and the denominator is 9. Let's do a couple of parts more. I'm taking sixth part now. Sixth part of this question, we have 2 by 5 divided by 1 and 1 by 2. So 2 by 5 is a fraction, fine. Work out this mixed number. 2 1s are 2 plus 1 is 3, so this is 3 by 2. Now I do my work. For this, I will be writing down the multiplicative inverse, which is 2 by 3, and I'll be using it here. So 2 by 3. 3 by 2 becomes 2 by 3. sign of division will change to multiplication. The first fraction remains same. If you want, you can just leave this part. You don't have to write this. You can directly write this the way we have done previous parts. Division changed to multiplication, and side by side this fraction will be inverted. 3 by 2 becomes 2 by 3. Now solve. Is there any cutting possible? No. Obtain the product. Multiply your numerators, multiply the denominators. We get 4 by 15, which is a proper fraction. This is your answer. Let's do one more part. Now I'm taking the last part of the question. 8th part. 2 1 by 5 divided by 1 and 1 by 5. So I have two mixed fractions. Before I start carrying out that multiplicative inverse thing or the reciprocal, let's work out these. Simplify, simplify. So 5 into 2 is 10 plus 1, 11 over 5 divided by 5 ones are 5 plus 1, 6 by 5. Now you start your work. 11 by 5, I'm changing. First fraction, no change. Divide becomes multiply. 6 by 5 will become 5 by 6. Cutting possible? Yes. 5 ones are 5, 5 ones are 5. So now I have simplified. Multiplying the numerators gives me 11. Multiplying the denominators gives me 6. Now this is an improper fraction. I'll have to change this into a mixed number. For that, I'll divide the numerator by denominator. Obtain the quotient and the remainder. Give your answer as the mixed number, quotient on the side, remainder on the top, and the denominator remains same. So this is the answer for the 8th part. As your homework, you will be doing the remaining parts, which are 2nd and 3rd, then 5th and 8th. This is your homework.